So, in any relationship, there's a really fine line, isn't there? The one between somebody caring about you deeply and someone trying to control you. It's a huge question, and today we're going to dig into some insights from Ritu Key Diary to figure out where that line is and how to spot the warning signs. Okay, let's start with this idea because it just cuts right through all the noise. See, trust is supposed to be the bedrock of love, right? So when that gets replaced by a constant need for proof, for evidence, well, something's seriously wrong. We're going to keep this in mind as we go. You know how it is. Every relationship starts somewhere, usually in that amazing sweet spot. In the beginning, it just feels so natural to be thinking about each other's feelings. You go out of your way not to hurt your partner, and that mutual care, that feels like what a real connection is all about. And in that early phase, you're talking all the time. It feels like you're really building something special, you know? You're happy to answer their questions, even the slightly nosy ones, because you're thinking, hey, this is how we get to know each other. It feels like you're creating this bond of understanding, one conversation at a time. But what happens when that feeling starts to change? When those sweet, curious questions start to feel a little different, less like you're building a bridge and more like they're building the bars of a cage. The tone shifts, the feeling behind it warps, and simple curiosity slowly, almost sneakily turns into an interrogation. Just look at the difference here. It's night and day. Who called you on its own can be totally innocent, just genuine interest. But when it turns into who called you, show me a screenshot now, well, that's not about connection anymore. It's a demand. It's fueled by suspicion. And that right there is the switch from care to control. This kind of shift, it doesn't just happen all at once. It builds up over time into these really clear, unmistakable red flags. These are the specific actions that basically scream that trust has packed its bags and left, and control has moved right in. And we're not just talking about a vague feeling here. These are solid, concrete behaviors that form a pattern, demanding to see screenshots, asking for your passwords, getting suspicious every time your phone line is busy. Every single one of these is a major violation of your privacy and a huge sign of deep mistrust. Now, you might be thinking, well, if I just show them the screenshot, it'll calm them down and solve the problem. But here's the thing the source material is really clear about. Giving in does not fix the insecurity. It's like feeding a monster. It actually makes it worse. Their expectations just keep growing, and they'll demand more and more proof. So this whole cycle, it brings us to a really serious point. This isn't just some quirky little personality flaw. The source uses some pretty strong language here, describing this constant suspicion as a form of mental sickness. It's like a state where the person is literally incapable of trust, no matter what proof you give them. And of course, if you're on the receiving end of that kind of behavior, living under a microscope 24/7, it's just not sustainable. It's going to start chipping away at your own sense of self, at your own well-being, and it will affect pretty much every single part of your life. And the damage really spreads out. It hits your mental health, which can lead to things like anxiety and even depression. Your career or your studies, it becomes almost impossible to focus when all your mental energy is being spent managing your partner's suspicions. And your own personal freedom, it just dissolves into this feeling of constant irritation and burnout. Which brings us to a really important question you have to ask yourself, honestly. Is this relationship draining you so much that you can't even focus on your own goals anymore, on your own life? Are you starting to lose who you are in the process of constantly trying to prove yourself to somebody else? So what do? I mean, it can feel like a totally impossible situation, but the source material actually offers a pretty clear, logical way to think about your next move. It's a framework to get you from feeling trapped to actually making a real choice. So this is basically a three-step process to help you find some clarity. First, you have to figure out what's really driving this behavior. Where is it coming from? Then you give them some space, a real chance to change, to show that they actually value you. And finally, based on what happens, you have to make a choice that puts your own health and your own future first. And this right here, this is the absolute key distinction you have to make. Is their behavior coming from a place of deep-seated insecurity, a need to not lose you? Because if that's the case, there might be a chance for change because they do value you. But if it's just part of their fundamental nature to control people, the source is pretty blunt. They're probably never going to change. And that's the final, pretty sobering thought we'll leave you with. Figuring out the difference between a behavior that's driven by need versus one that's driven by an unchangeable nature to control, well, that might just be the most important judgment call you'll ever have to make in a relationship. It really makes you think, what's the one sign that truly tells you which is which?